Welcome everybody to our second episode of Paint Bros. We have over.
Hey, everybody.
Go.
There we are.
So today's topic is going to
This
be about.
was last time's,
Yes. So today's
although
topic
it's still topical.
It is. It is. So last week, we at the end of our stream, we had a poll about what we should do our warm up art to be this week, which will be the same thing. We'll continue the theme at the end of this stream, and the options range from Tolkien to Loki to cryptids and Loki One, TVA Loki. So any character from the Loki series. I've decided to do Old Man Loki.
Yeah.
And Dan, what have you decided?
I did not want to go with that cash cow that you chose. I decided to do Sylvie, who I think honestly is the star of the show.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty good show. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, the alligator won.
Honestly, I'm surprised you're not doing the alligator.
I was like this close. I was this close to doing the alligator. I was right on the fence, and then I was like, yeah, that's just printing money. I mean, that makes no sense. There's no challenge there.
Matt Holloway says hello.
Hey, how's it going, mate?
All right, so we are gonna start. I'm gonna. Dan's already started. I'm going to.
Yeah, we only have 30 minutes. Do we have that egg timer? Oh wait, I have the egg timer. All right,
it is.
It is 11:36. We have 30 minutes to draw these. On your mark, get set. I've already gone.
What? No, cheater.
Man, every time I cheat, I fail because I was cheating. So as soon as Tony put up this is what we're going to draw, I immediately went and voted twice. And I still lost. Evidently, nobody likes Tolkien anymore. It's all right. I get to draw Tolkien next Monday live or something else. So I'm not really all that disappointed. It's okay. You don't like me anymore.
Hey, it's just you're too old school, man. You gotta stay.
Hey, whoa, hey, easy.
I am doing the Yankovar technique of going in with watercolor.
I should be blocking this out in watercolor just for speed, but I'm I'm approaching this in kind of a dumb way. So how was your week, man?
It was good. I spent I drove back cross country over the weekend, and it took me a day or two to kind of recalibrate.
So explain to everybody how we shot all these promo videos that didn't work out.
So
and the need for really good audio equipment.
Yes. So I just used the microphone off of my DSLR camera, which I've only really used for streaming. I don't think I've really actually taken pictures of it before or anything like that. So let me see. So it was a comedy of follies and errors. So some of the places we were trying to get we're trying to do a backdrop of street art behind us while we videoed a bunch of these promos. I think I messed up for the corner. And wherever there was street art down in Florida, there was also a lot of ambient noise. For the first part, there was like a bar nearby, so there was a lot of bars and coffee shops, and the, some of them had a lot of noise going on in the background, and it just caught it too much. I'm not an audio engineer enough for that to like pull all that stuff away.
Too much nat sound,
Too much, yeah,
as they say
yeah.
in the biz.
And there was a couple of them where we were just too quiet
Yeah, we just
because
spoke too low.
we were supposed to low. And then I think it was the next day I was trying to look at some of the videos that we had, um, and I must have messed up some of the settings or something, and the audio was just non-existent on the couple of them
Mm,
we had when we kind of had our stuff figured out and ready to go. That next
yeah,
day, I was like, "There's no audio track on this. What did I do?" I had to
yeah.
search through my camera, and I found like something where it's like record without audio. I'm like, Why would I ever do that?
Why would I press
So,
that?
why would I ever do that?
Maybe that was the time that my son Finian was the director. I'm thinking that
Yeah,
was the case.
yeah,
Those were his.
yeah. Yeah. So, I luckily we'll be in Orlando together, so maybe we'll try to
Yeah,
snatch some
we'll shoot some more terrible
reshoot.
videos.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
I'm gonna I'm gonna go find my I'm gonna go find my lavalier mic, and then
I'll bring my my sock mic that I
yeah,
have that's like
uh,
pro.
yeah, I'll see if I could find a decent deal online for audio mic. You also do token. You have to mix it up. Tony, your mic volume keeps going out. Oh, hold on. My mic volume.
All right, we are 7 minutes in. FYI,
I haven't. I had to erase and start over.
we
Damn
aren't
it.
7 minutes in. We're 5 minutes in, dude.
Okay.
I'm totally just yanking your chain. He's like, "Where's the time going?" Which is fitting compared, considering what we're drawing.
Yes.
See what I did there?
I like it. You're kind of like proving that you watched the show and we weren't.
Yeah. And considering how not awake I am currently, that's actually
Yeah.
pretty good. For those that also don't know, I pulled an all-nighter last night, like a total idiot. Um, I've been trying to finish one of two really, really, really big projects, and I was like, I really just need a night, and then I can kick it in the driveway, and it's all done. And yeah, it didn't work out that way. I ended up horribly face planning around, I don't know, 4 a.m. something like
Oh,
that. 5 a.m. It was early. I
I
just remember thinking I'm too old to do this kind of crap again. I can do it at a con because there's like different energy at a con, but at the house it's like everything's comfortable.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. I
my
know.
dog keeps coming up and trying to like
I'll have some
nuzzle me and
snacks.
yeah, well, that's the worst. Oh my gosh. I've learned not to eat if I'm
Yes.
under a deadline. Like I literally
Right?
starve myself. It's the only thing I can do. If I eat, it's
You get
like, oh,
sleepy.
food, yeah, food
You
coma
get
sets in.
sleepy.
And then it's like, yeah.
Like it's
So,
small things like that that you start realizing when you have these like creative deadlines and you're
yeah.
like
So
this
let's,
past week I had to hit some deadlines myself as well, and so
yeah.
like breakfast was just a quick beverage like a tea or something like that. Lunch was
Like, what are
like
you eating?
yeah, no,
Nothing.
it was like very little until I was like, okay, I need to eat something, otherwise, yeah,
Yep. I feel you, man.
no, that's
So
right.
let's talk a little bit about
It
our topic for today,
seems like we need
uh, which is, drum roll please, creativity.
yeah.
And ways to stay creative in this.
Step one: don't eat and don't sleep.
Yeah, step one, starve yourself. Um, it is a really weird thing though. Like for some reason, like food in particular is yeah. I lose all. It's like my body goes into a different sort of shutdown mode whenever I, consume food.
Yeah, I know I have a um so one is just knowing what your body. We can go into. I have a few
Oh
things
man,
on it.
yeah,
Like
all that. That
Like
that's
food.
that's on a personal case by case basis,
Yeah,
really.
right. And you have to figure that out because I know I react to food comas
Yeah.
pretty easily.
I we the other thing is I mean I know Tony's the same way, but I'm very different at conventions. At conventions, for some reason, I seem to have like limitless energy. Um, it's like I can stay up forever. I don't
Hmm.
seem to have that like kill switch that I do whenever I'm at the house.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you feel that we're talking a little bit about diet here? Like, do you
yeah.
feel that you eat a little, try to be a little healthier at a show?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know about
Hmm.
that. Yes and no. I think there are times I'll agree to that and say yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm actually kind of like I'm fairly healthy at the house.
Hmm.
I I'm the cook of the home, so
Yeah.
I it's like I've kind of trained myself not to go down all those like really bad roads of
Mhm.
eating things you really shouldn't eat.
Right.
Um,
I mean, it's
like we don't have a lot of the stuff in our house that a lot of families do. Like chips, we have some, but they're
healthy
they tend to
chips.
be kind of healthy chips. Yeah,
Hmm.
they're not really like things that are gross and horrible for you. Um, it's like oh, plantain chips.
Delicious. Delicious. I know for part of the show, I generally like as I'm traveling, as I'm getting like the first day or two of the show, I generally try to be a little healthier. Um,
Yeah.
I try to remember to drink more water and all that other
Is that because further down the road you're gonna be like doing horrible things to your body? Um,
stuff. Well, there's usually like the post show if there is like some big dinner, and you
yeah.
want to enjoy yourself a little bit,
Yeah,
but
we always eat like kings on the last day of the show. It's kind of
yeah,
a ritual,
right.
and I highly recommend if you ever do things like what we do, find your ritual, find the thing
Hmm.
that you need to do to unwind, so to speak, or celebrate or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, we definitely do one of those. It's necessary,
yeah. So
and we eat very well when we do these. We do sushi. We do different things depending upon the location. We actually have like specific restaurants
yeah,
where we like make it a point. It's like, oh, I can't wait for last day. Yeah, we
yeah.
get to eat at that one joint that we ate at last time.
Because we know if we eat that on like a Friday night or Saturday night, we're gonna pass
Yeah,
out. But one of the things with that, I also wanted to kind of get into that when I was first um, trying to manage my schedule with like a full time job and everything else like that.
yeah,
I realized that I was more alert in the morning, and so I
yeah,
would try to wake up a little bit earlier in the morning just to make sure that that's when I would have some time to do like creative stuff. Because at the end of the day and in the evenings, I'm generally more exhausted after
yeah.
work.
That's definitely something I think everybody has to kind of figure out for
Yeah,
themselves. Is
right.
like,
Because some people are night
what
people, or
is,
some people morning.
yeah, what is your on time? Um, and it totally varies person to person.
Hmm.
And for me, I kind of fluctuate. I don't have one on time. I have different on times. Like sometimes it'll be an evening, sometimes it'll be, you know, it totally changes.
Yeah,
Um,
but that totally affects your sort of creativity and your, with that your motivation. If you
yeah.
constantly don't feel like you can keep it going, then you get demotivated. You're like, ah, maybe this
Yep.
isn't me. Stuff like that.
I'm horrible. I'm not even on. Da, 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 da. I should really be on our. I haven't been looking
Oh,
at chat.
yeah.
I'm
I've been,
trying. I'm focusing to try and finish this time. So
I've been keeping an
lat.
eye on the chat. I've been keeping an eye on the chat. It's okay.
Okay.
Um, you know,
the last time that if you didn't tune in to our last episode, Tony dogged me so hard on finishing his quick warm up piece, and I'm usually the one that's way ahead, and I'm
Yeah,
usually done.
I don't know
And I
what
was
happened
like,
last time.
okay, this time it's on.
It's on.
Like, I cannot go down that horrible road I did last time. Um, Time check. We
Yeah,
have
let's time check.
12 minutes, and then we're done.
12 minutes left.
Yes.
Oh shit.
All right, I'll give it 15, but
Okay.
that's my final. You know,
That's your final.
come on,
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
come on.
yeah. You got it. You got it. This is practice for last day of a convention. Sunday, people are waiting at the table.
Yep.
Um, they're like coming back and checking every 5 minutes, and they're like, "Oh, I have to go, man. My ride's
Yeah.
gonna leave." You're like, "Okay, just
Yeah.
a little bit
You
longer."
have that guy that has literally been by your table 8 times,
Yeah,
and he's just
he's
looking for his piece, and
three of
he's
those
like,
times he was trying to be polite and just walk by
yeah,
and look without saying anything. But the last four
yeah.
times, he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
The last time he came by, he made a sound that you had not heard since the dawn of time. It was a sigh, but it was also like an angry sigh, and it's like, how many angry sighs have you heard?
yeah." Like,
Um,
stop talking to other people. Work on my art.
yeah, it's like this guy's a dink. Yeah, that's what he's saying about me, not that he is. Um, Everybody's
Hands
like,
down.
yeah, commission Dan. He's really quick. That guy's awesome. This guy sucks.
Yeah. When in doubt.
The one thing I hate about the paper I'm using right now, by the way, this is a new brand of paper that I found. It is by Strathmore. It is blue vellum.
Oh,
Um,
you're using that one. That's why it had
yeah.
weird. I wasn't sure if it was my like. Oh, did I misset the exposure on your video
Yeah,
feed?
it's like, I think I messed up Dan's feed.
Like, I
Um,
won't say anything until
yeah, he'll never know.
he doesn't.
Um,
So how do you like that? This is like the third time.
I love it. The only thing that I have a negative, or the only negative I have about it is it has a weird, like paint doesn't dry immediately. Um, like it's not like hot, it's not like hot press paper
Mm-hmm.
where the paper, it absorbs the color and it's immediately dry.
Mm.
Um, it has like a shelf life type thing. Doesn't buckle though, which is great. It treats, in that respect, it's a lot like watercolor paper.
Nice.
It almost like things sit on the surface so that you can almost like kind of push and pull them,
Oh.
like even staining colors.
So do you get nicer blends then if it stays
Yes.
on?
Well, sort of. Yes. Now for the time when Dan throws all the paint on the paper in a mad dash to finish his piece.
Yeah. And and green. Loki has green. Yeah, green.
I haven't even looked at yours, dude.
Hey, Ronald
Um,
Shepard, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, how's it going, mate?
How's it going? Thank you for coming by. We're doing our 30 minute warm up here. 35-minute.
Tony's taking forever.
I'm taking forever.
Do you need more time, Tony?
Don't do this.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah,
Are we doing good?
how are we doing? And if you have any
Yeah,
questions to kind of toss in there,
yeah.
we'll
Like,
get to
why
them as
is
soon as
Daniel
we're almost
using
done.
such a giant brush?
Yeah,
I don't care what anybody says. It's definitely the size of your brush.
it's not the size of your brush.
Yeah.
That's what someone with small brushes would say.
Ooh.
Assuming Loki has green eyes.
That's actually a really good question. I don't know. I should probably know though. I think they're blue. Actually, I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
blue. Anyone want to tell me what color in the chat?
They should be green, but I don't think they are.
That would make sense to me.
How you doing?
I've been looking forward to episode 2. Great work so far, says Mano. Thank you.
Thank you. So, did you know that she was actually pregnant
For the
making this?
show?
Yeah. They made a special costume for, well, for part of it at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Like full on pregnant or like early? That's pretty
well,
impressive.
you're either
I'm
pregnant or not, so
well, it's different if you're
I know
first
what you mean.
trimester versus last
I know what you mean. I
trimester.
was like, do I have to explain pregnancy to Tony? Because this is going to be awkward. Um, no, but no, I just learned that they like made her costume specifically so that she could kind of hide things, um, which I
I,
thought
I
was really kind of cool.
I
You should
know
watch
that
the
there have
making
been
of.
okay. I'll definitely check that. I didn't know there.
It's really good.
Um, I know that there are some shows and things like that that have were managed to hide all that stuff by
Yeah,
filming differently, making sure the shots are only of a certain type of shot.
right. Dan's colors are whack. Uh, I bizarrely have Under the Sea in my head, like Little Mermaid, and it's not from Finn. I've been listening to Squirrel Nut Zippers, and they have like
Remix.
a yeah of Under the Sea, and it's like if it doesn't put you in your happy spot, there's something wrong with you.
uh, so do you have who's its and what's its galore?
I'm sorry.
Do you have who's its and what's its galore?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I want to call it?
Uh, 1 minute. Let me just put on this gold and her lipstick, and then I'm gonna say I'm done. Or do you want to say you're done already, bro?
I I could always noodle. That's the thing. So this is the thing. You can always noodle a watercolor and just like get more and
Yeah.
more.
So
But
this
it's just
this
to a
leads
point where you
into
can be like,
yeah,
it's good enough. Like I'm
yeah.
not I'm not at a point.
All right. I mean, I haven't done her eyes. I haven't done. There's like little things that I haven't done. So yeah, I started spending too much time on things. This is the problem.
Yep.
And this leads right into one of the things that we were going to talk about: setting time limits on your stuff, making sure that you.
It's also good on a practice level because you have to make decisions, right? And
Yeah,
then you learn about it. Because um, one of the easy things I can learn from just this one was that I had to erase everything and shift it over about 5 minutes in because I forgot to take into account how big I wanted his horns to be. That's always
yeah. For me, it came down to I just bit off more than I could chew. Um, I I tried to do a full nine. So one of the tricks that Tony and I talking directly about our topic. One of the things that I do whenever I really need to fire up my like kind of thinking process is to work smaller. Um, the pitfall of working huge is that it feels so daunting when you're doing something. Um, I mean, everything is just so massive and overwhelming, and if you just worked smaller, it would actually be way more digestible and something that wouldn't be so scary.
Mhm.
Um, when I started doing my daily warm up sketches, the first thing that I kind of took to heart from another creator who like was doing daily stuff all the time, and I was just like, how the heck is he able to do things so fast? And I needed to warm up and try and figure, or not warm up, but try and figure out a way to speed up my process.
Mhm.
Um, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't do huge stuff like everybody else does. These like massive, huge pieces." And he's like, I work a lot smaller than everybody else, so yeah, I get stuff done." And I just kept thinking, that's genius. Why is it that we like feel the need to work so big
Yeah.
on things that are warm ups? Um, like 9 by 12, this right here is way bigger than I would normally do for a warm up. It doesn't need to be this big. Um, like this should totally be a much smaller piece.
Next week we'll do it on a smaller size. Like for me, I find that like
It's
so
freeing, but
it's the size of your like for my gesture, like when I'm like
yeah,
sketching and stuff like that, like and
yeah,
I'm doing it quick, like my natural gestures like kind of around this size of 9 by 12, I can quickly do it. If it gets a little smaller, I start doing less of that quick
I understand that
quick sketching
totally.
sort of thing. So
And that's the thing. All of our sort of our what works for us and the things that we do. You kind of have to find your own. But some of the things that these are things that we've kind of figured out over some time, messing around and doing the wrong things.
yeah, and that's taking in advice from those that you want to like that you that are either more experienced than you or have been doing it more or you think are better than you. Like you got to take all
They're
that
on a
advice
different.
and then you got to apply it to yourself. And you have
Yep.
artists as trite as it is also learning about who you are, how you learn, how perceive the world and everything, but also like your little inconsistencies, your bad habits and your good habits. You have to learn all that stuff.
Who's watching Loki? I feel like it's such a loaded question.
Who's
Who's not
watching Loki?
watching Loki?
Uh,
The
Loki
world.
can have any color eyes because he is Loki. Good point. Um, Looking good, Tony. And does Matt Holloway and Ronald Shepard. Are you both using the same paper and watercolors? Yes, pretty much.
No, not the same paper.
Oh no, not same paper. You changed it up this time. Dan's
Yep.
paper is a toned paper.
We usually use the same stuff, but I'm using this fancy stuff that I just got turned on to recently. That I'm kind of a big fan of. It's
Yeah,
Tonal Strathmore, and the thing I like about it is it's you can pretty much do anything with it.
mhm.
I like that white can be a tool with it, which is something that you don't get with
Yeah, generally
the
with
other stuff.
generally you have to go back in with wash. Right. Time.
Yep. Time. I'm not even close to done, but
Yeah. I will put
30
in
minutes. Bah,
two little dots
bah.
for the eyes.
I will probably spend quite some more time working on that one
I
before I'm happy with it. So, what are you working on?
I will leave it up to. I can do something anime that I have in progress, or I have an architecture piece that I also have to start.
Gotcha.
So for those of you
I
out
have
there,
work stuff that I'm not really allowed to show.
yeah,
So I'm going to finish this dragon that I started when you were here.
okay.
Um,
Oh,
and I'm going to hop on the chat.
On the same paper.
I'm sorry?
On the same paper.
Yes, it is
That
on the
blue
same
tone
paper.
paper.
Yep. Yep.
Put this off to the side. Is the time up? Time is up. I am and I was letting him keep track of time.
Yes. Give me 2 seconds. And talking about the topic of the day, how to keep creativity flowing. So, one of the things that we say is to draw every single day, and that's something that I definitely try to adhere to. I draw every day. If I don't do something for myself, I feel a little like I didn't do something right. Um, and lately, there have been a lot of days like that because my schedule has just been too insane. Um, but it's definitely something that I try and keep to. Um, how about you, Tony?
I, 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 I will stress the point of try. One of the things I've learned when trying art to sort of programs, there are days, for me at least, there's like video editing, social media, and sometimes it gets away from you. And if you don't do enough, um, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not creative, you end the day, and I'm just like, what did I even accomplish today? I might as well be in an office.
Yeah.
um,
Which is interesting because Matt says, "Do you guys prefer working in the convention environment or at home?" Um, I kind of, you know, go back and forth personally. Um, there are times that I enjoy. I
There's things that, yeah,
creatively, the con is amazing because you're surrounded by other artists and it kind of fuels your creativity. Like you're always seeing people working. You're seeing people that are doing some really inspiring pieces, and you're just like, oh man, I can't wait to get back to my table and work. Um,
even in the morning, that walk to your table and you're just
that's actually
seeing
my favorite part. Yeah,
it, not the crowd isn't there yet, and you get to do a quick walk
yeah,
through, or just if you're trying to get to your table, you're just exposed to art and colors and
yeah,
all the things that geeked you out or geeked us out,
yeah.
to try to
It's kind
pursue
of like,
art in the first place.
yeah, it's kind of like sensory overload. Um, when you're first walking into the con for the morning, I mean, you're bombarded by all these people that are just like frantically working on commissions, or um, they're rolling in after having drinks and they're chatting with some huge creator that you've never met before, and there's just all sorts of things that you're getting bombarded by. Um,
Yeah,
I tend to put on headphones these days whenever I walk through, just so I don't get totally overwhelmed. Um, just because I have trouble focusing on one thing, and then yeah,
right.
I by the time I get to the table, I'm just kind of like frazzled.
I thought you did that
Um,
because you just didn't want to talk to me in the morning.
well, there's that, but no, I mean, I just the last couple of cons I've been to, it feels so much better to just listen to an audiobook while I cruise through and just kind of like mill about and see
Or
what everybody's working on.
set your own soundtrack to life.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one of the things that I think, knowing that it is a few couple of days,
yeah.
um, is totally tolerable and is good. If it was like that every day, it
No,
would
that'd be
definitely kind of
overwhelming.
get into the sensory overload, and you'd just be like, I would just run out of energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could handle that. Um,
That
I'm,
being
I'm
said,
I'm I'm always super happy when I come back home.
yes,
Um,
there is
like
that. Like, you enjoy. It would have to be both for me. Like, you have to do a little bit of both. Like, I would, if you told me I never had to go and do a convention again, I'd be like,
yeah,
oh, that's sad.
I mean it would stink, but I think I'd actually be okay with it. Like sadly,
Yeah, it'd be a sad. Like, I'd be like, okay, sad.
the online world has kind of made leaps and bounds. So I'm not as like, oh, that would be the worst thing,
Yeah.
but creatively speaking, I I try and draw something for me every day, even if it's just like 30 minutes. I try and do something that's not for clients. You kind of get in a rut whenever you start to do client work where everything is methodical. You have a sort of day in, day out. It feels like work. It isn't, but it is. Um,
Yeah, at the same
you're
time,
fun.
right?
It's fun because you're drawing stuff that's really cool, and it's fun, and people are paying you to draw.
Yeah.
But you get into a weird rhythm where it's a job, um, and it feels like a job, and it kind of loses that thing that got you started in creating art in the first place, which is that magic, that kind of wonder,
Hmm.
and you kind of have to harness that into the job. And the hardest part about it is keeping that when you're doing stuff for a client, as opposed to stuff that intrinsically it's you and what you want to draw. Um, when we're really lucky, we get to do things that we want to draw.
Hmm.
But I would say 50% of the time, people are asking us to do things or draw characters that aren't really, things that we're like super jazzed about.
Hmm. Yeah.
Meaning it's not the first thing we would think of to draw.
Right.
It's not that it's the last,
Right.
it's just that it's
Or
not the very first thing on our list.
with all the characters out there nowadays that you often get asked to draw, or
Yeah.
genres and everything else, you don't even know those characters. So you have no connection.
Well,
You can paint,
yeah,
draw them, but like an anime character, there's so much anime. You can add, but
yeah. We most of the time with comic book type stuff, you're asked to draw nostalgia. Um, like it's stuff that is near and dear to a person who is reading those stories or read those stories more often than not years ago, um, and they're wanting to collect a piece of that. Um, and they have collections of art by other artists. So you're drawing things that are, they know what they want. They know they just want your style on that piece. And that's what they're after. They're not necessarily after, sometimes they want our takes, which is great. Um,
hmm
but more often than not, they want the classics,
right,
the things that are like, I want Thor, but I want classic Thor, or I want, movie Thor, or I want,
right.
something that's someone else's design. It's not ours. Um,
Yeah, we were just talking, for instance, like we know what people are asking when they ask for certain types of characters.
totally.
You know, like Black Cat, Power Girl. Like there are certain characters that are like, okay, I know what you want, and if I deviated from that,
Yep.
you'd be slightly disappointed.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. If I did Power Girl from, the back view, people would
hmm
be a little like, that's not quite what I
That's
was
not what I
looking
want.
for. I mean, that's a cool shot, but
Yeah, yeah. It's
I
like
mean,
them asking for Batman and you just drawing them Bruce Wayne.
yeah.
Like same character.
Yeah. I challenge you to find a back view of Power Girl.
yeah.
Um,
Uh,
those are not going to be as prevalent. But no, it's not that we don't like drawing that stuff. We actually totally do. Anytime you're getting paid to draw, it's a blessing, literally.
yes.
Um,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, like I mean, don't get me wrong. It's more of a, you know, let's put it this way. So this is not product placement. I'm not trying to sell you something, even though if you want to buy my book, please buy my book. Um, so Loki is a character that's been around, or I'm sorry, Hela has been around for forever, and this is the comic version of Hela. Um, she has very particular stylings and whatnot, and I love the design. It's actually super creative. And then you've got things where it's just right out of my brain, which I feel like is the more I find this kind of stuff far more kind of creative because there's no restrictions. There's no it's all pure freedom.
right.
Does that make sense?
No, no. I
Um, like I don't have to adhere to a particular design. I don't have to adhere to a particular style. Um, it's literally whatever I want to draw that day.
yeah. You were mentioning like draw for yourself and like make sure you
Yes.
do something on that level. Um, you said you feel it's kind of you need to do it every day or so to like kind of reach that.
Yes.
I know for me, it's the refractory period is a little bit longer. Like I can,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't have to draw for myself or do it every day, but it definitely is like within a week or so if I don't do something that's like, oh, I see this image or it inspires me or I have this idea, like let me explore
Mm.
that. Like if for me, it's about a week, about a week or so, where if I don't do something that is mine,
Yeah.
then I
For
get
me,
kind of
you get batty.
I get a little batty, right?
Yeah.
And I don't feel I feel like um whatever I'm working on, it feels like I'm less attached to it, right? Like oh, I'm just
Yeah.
going through the motion,
That's
less
what I was
excited,
getting
right?
at. That's what I was getting at with the day to day art and client work in particular. You get this point where you're going through the motions. Like it's
Mhm.
like you know all the things to hit. You know the process that you're doing, and you've already got all the designs down. You're literally just like, well, I put in the shadows, then I put this color
Yeah,
on. Then
yeah,
like it doesn't feel as much of a, like experiment. There's no experimentation when you're doing client work. You don't experiment. That's not the time to do that. Like sometimes, sure, but it's super risky to do that when you have deadlines
Yeah.
and you're trying to, do something that, the client is paying you because they know you can do this and it will look the way they want it to.
Mhm.
Um, and it's different when it's something that's for you and it's like, I don't know how this is going to turn out. Honestly, I'm kind of taking risks and chance. I've never used, this is literally the first piece I did on this paper.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is going to be like. So
Right. Yeah, it becomes for anything creative. I feel you can apply this to music or whatever. There's a rote, almost mathematical, logical process you begin to apply sometimes. That takes, it's like, okay, like as Dan said, add the shadows. Okay, contrast. I need to create an edge to do this, and it just becomes this a list of things that you just apply to the piece in front of you,
yeah,
and you want to try to maintain as much like fun and creative because that's when it shows.
it, the thing that's like super important is um, you have to kind of maintain a some sort of a creative outlet that's not
Mhm.
that's not like something you are depending upon for your livelihood necessarily.
Yeah.
In other words, this is not something I'm doing because I have the express thought of this will sell.
Right.
If you ever approach something from the standpoint of this will make money, um,
Generally, it won't.
it's not gonna have the juice you want it to. It really won't. It's gonna be it's gonna be approached in a you don't approach things in the I will do this because people will buy it. You approach it because this speaks to me and I have a message to say in it. Um, that's why you do the things you do, not the other way around. I'm definitely of the if you build it they will come mentality. I'm less of the, you know,
Target.
yeah,
Figure out your marketing. Analyze your audience.
build
Determine.
your audience, don't
Yeah.
analyze your audience. Like,
Build your own. Yeah.
create your audience. There is how many billions of people in the world?
Mhm.
And how many of them appreciate and buy art? Like,
More than I thought. I remember when I first started
yeah,
off, I was like, who's gonna buy all this art and everything else? Then you get into it, and you're
yeah.
like, oh, you guys really like
You,
this
yeah,
stuff.
and there's definitely a point where you get kind of afraid when you're first starting off and you're thinking, I'm never going to make a living doing this. Like, this is going to be like my biggest failure in life. And like, is this the road? Because no one wants to go down this road. Nowadays, I feel like wow, I just dated myself by saying nowadays. um, the if there's one thing that COVID taught us is that people can do a lot of crap online, and you don't have to leave your house. Um,
Yeah.
Entire audiences can be built online without having to go anywhere or do anything. We talk about conventions a lot, but that's just because part of our audience goes to conventions, and we kind of started off doing those.
Yeah.
Um, but I can totally live comfortably without a con. Um,
Mhm.
that's one thing that COVID has taught me is that it's not absolutely necessary that I do conventions. I forgot what I was going with that.
Well, I'll just move on to that. And speaking of that, I we talked about like a little bit of the energy at conventions and whatnot. Part of me is a
Yeah,
little bit afraid coming out of 2020. I have 9 or 10 conventions in the next 13 weeks,
yeah.
which is
It, it's like you see the end of the rainbow, so to speak.
yeah, like that is gonna be there's gonna be some like crazy stressors and whatever else in there.
No, there
Yeah.
are, and I'm definitely like so. finding your comfort places and
Yeah.
like where you are from a the one thing that I'm grappling with these days is with art you're always trying to like put your keep a bunch of irons in the fire, so to
Mhm.
speak. um, and I definitely have like one of those my uh, the irons that I have in the fire are things where it's like they you're trying to figure out whether or not it's going to go through, whether a project's going to get greenlit or not, and you've
Right.
been talking about it for months, and then it's like it either happens or it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The worst is when it's planned for a very specific time, and then it gets put on hold, and then it gets greenlit. And I had like a cascade of three of those things happening at the same time, where it was like one would one was like scheduled, another one was scheduled, and then one was percolating. Um, and the thing that was originally scheduled got put on hold. The second one got pushed back by a month, which isn't that bad because everything else is kind of up in the air. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then what happened is there was a long waiting period from the end client for approval. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is now like turning into like a nightmare scenario with three things happening all at the same time. And it's like a struggle to try and keep it up. And as a freelancer, you're always having to deal with that kind of stuff. Um, you have different kinds of artists out there, though, that don't do freelance work.
Mhm.
A lot of them just draw the things that they want to draw. And I personally am having one of those like struggles because I kind of go back and forth on that. Um, it's like I like my family to eat.
Yeah.
Um,
Or so when you're in these stressful moments and things
yeah.
like that, one of this, going back to the topic of keeping the creativity flowing, how are there things, or is it just like grin and bear it when you're in these like stressful situations, or is it, do you just do you pick things that are tried and true, like okay, well, I'm not gonna push myself on this pose, or what I'm presenting to this client now because I need to know that I can do it. Like,
I like poses in particular are something that I always try and make sure that it's something that is.
you end up using more
Um,
reference, for instance.
yeah, I tend to use reference for the most part, just so things look, right.
Mhm.
Um, Um, but I tend to use reference a lot for poses and things like that. Anyhow, I think that that's the way um, things actually like come off looking realistic, and you don't have like wonky. It's like, oh well, nobody holds that way. That will not look right.
Yeah.
Even the client will appreciate stuff like that. Um, I don't think of that as like something that's necessarily like a creativity thing, though. I think it's
Mhm.
more of a that falls into process. It's not something that's informing creativity. Um, for me, it's more of it, how much do you want to focus on like a new design or a new type of costume? How much do you want to focus on like a different camera angle,
Mhm.
like something that's really weird as opposed to something that's like, oh well, let's just do that front on shot of Power Girl that
Mhm.
everybody wants to see. It's like, no, let's do her from behind. All right, that sounded really terrible, um, but you get my point.
Yes.
It's like, do something that you don't see all the time. Don't do the things that you see every single day. Um, Try and find like, for me, creativity falls into look at the things around you. I write down like, I have a little journal that I keep that's like a tiny little like idea book, and I will constantly when things if I'm driving in the car, if I'm out in nature, I'll jot down either like a little sketch of what it is, or
Mhm.
I'll put down. like a phrase or something like that that will jog my memory about what I was thinking about at that time. Like for instance, I did this whole series of warrior squirrels, and it
Hmm.
was one of those where I was outside and I was watching these squirrels like run around the trees, and it was like epic. I mean, it was like a crazy battle between these two squirrels. And it just raged on forever. And I was like, wow, these guys are like samurai warriors, like going crazy on the tree. So then I was like, I got to put them in armor and I got to do this. And, it turned into like a series because of that.
Hmm.
Um, and literally, it was like, look up hero poses of squirrels. So now I challenge all of you, go online, go to like Google search and look up uh, squirrel superhero poses, because when squirrels land, they look like superheroes. Like literally, it's like Thor and Iron Man just landed.
You mean Black Widow?
It's no, yeah, actually, yeah, more like Black Widow. Um, have you seen it, by the way?
I have not, but
Yeah, you don't
but
want to pay. You don't want to pay for
yeah,
it.
I already paid Disney. I already have Disney Plus. Why are you trying to make me pay $20? If I wanted
30.
to see it, yeah, whatever that is. If I really wanted, it's more of like, do I want to go to the theater? And for some reason, I still am
It's a hard justification. It's like
not
30
comfortable.
bucks, really, guys? Like, and it's like on hand, I'm like, okay, that price point kind of makes sense to me.
If you're a
Um,
family,
yes, a family watches a lot of superhero movies.
right?
Um, but on the other hand, it's like that's a lot of money for a movie. I mean, it doesn't even cost that much
Go
to
to the
go to the
theater.
movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So if I was more inclined right now, and it's 2021, and post pandemic ish, I still don't quite feel comfortable going to a theater.
Yeah, well, what bugs me about it is that you pay for it, and it's going to be available for everyone in October.
Right,
Um, so it's like, okay, I'm paying $30, which is more than a normal movie,
right,
just to have early access to watch it,
right.
which I'll be able to in a couple months.
No, no, no,
So
totally, exactly.
yeah, it's like I'll wait a couple of months. Thanks.
Yeah, same here. I'm also the kind of person that fully doesn't mind spoilers. Like, fully spoil something for me, and I'd be like, "That's cool."
Yeah,
Like, I will still watch it. I will still enjoy it.
yeah.
Um,
What are some of your creative tactics that you do for me for warm ups? Another one that I do is this thing called Mad Libs, um, where you basically take three words, and there used to be a generator online, and the link died. I was going to link everybody to it, but basically you would type in three. Um, you would make a list of like three different things. One would be animals, like it would just be random animal, octopus, whatever. The second list of things would be professions. So it would be things like
Plumber.
cowboy, construction worker,
Mm.
doctor, you name it. The third list would be something like, um, oh gosh, what was it?
Scenario.
Like setting, yeah,
Mm.
setting or attitude or like feeling or something like that. And then you would just mishmash all three together. So you would get like cowboy, octopus, space. It's like like a space cowboy octopus. And it's like, okay. And then suddenly you have an idea about what to draw. Um, so if you ever run into like, weird, like what to draw today.
This is our date night activity the first 2 years we were together.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the
Um,
things that I will do, well, what I have is um, a folder
I'm
of.
sorry.
I have a folder titled inspiration, and
Yeah.
in it, I just basically save. It's kind of like what you say. You do a quick sketch, and I have a little quick story about that too. Um, I have a folder that I basically call inspiration, and it has everything from landscapes to cosplayers to model
Oh yeah.
photos to angles to lighting or palettes. Like, oh, that was a cool photo. I don't really
Okay,
like
let's
the
be
photo.
real. It's a bunch of nudes.
There's a bunch of nudes in there too. But also, if you looked at the nudes, you'd be like, I don't know what you're into, Tony. There are
Yeah,
some super
well,
muscular women, and as much as like,
it's like, Tony, you could be arrested for half of these.
yeah, there's the whole range to like,
Yeah.
there's like there's naked guys. I'll just be honest. There's full nudes of everything and everyone.
Yeah.
So there's that stuff, and when I don't know, like as you said, like we're trying to talk about like how do you keep the creative flowing on those days where I'm like, okay, I have a little bit of time, or I want to draw something for myself, and like, oh, where do I do? Uh, I always go back to this. You ever see the movie Finding Forrester?
Finding Forrester.
Yeah, it's like Sean Connery, and he was like
Isn't that the
it's an old
um,
movie.
isn't it about
The writer.
chess?
No, it's about writing.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's this recluse of a famous writer, and he befriends this young kid.
Yeah.
And in it, he gives the kid advice about writing. He's like, you can start with someone else's words, and they will eventually transform. Like, start typing and copying. You know, it's just where they like punch the keys, right? Just start copying something, and then eventually it'll spark something, and you'll make it
Okay.
into your own, right? So if I don't know, or if I'm at a loss of like being creative, like your warrior squirrels,
Yeah.
I'll just go into this folder and I'll find something. Oh, that looks interesting. That kind of looks like if I added wings, or if I added horns, or oh, this could totally be post-apocalyptic, and I'll kind of create what you're saying, like your own Mad Libs. You
Yeah.
start with an image that inspires, like, oh, if I made this like fantasy, fantasy and whatever.
Yeah.
Ideate on that. But to what you said about doing sketches before,
Uh-huh.
I was just kind of going through all my stacks of like uh, watercolor blocks, and between Dan and I, we have tons of these watercolor blocks.
No, so many.
And I was going through them, I'm
I
like, oh, like this one has a
Yeah.
sketch in it already. Oh, this one has a sketch in it
I
already.
all
Oh,
of
this one has
yeah.
a sketch.
I tend to keep like 6 of them
Yeah.
at a time going, and I've actually started upping that number just because I have too many pieces in the works,
Yeah.
and I tend to kind of float between them. The ones that I currently have over here, I can't show because it's all stuff that's proprietary.
Yeah.
Um,
No, but like,
this one has 2 pieces in it. There's this is going to be my son's birthday card
oh,
or birthday invite eventually.
like there's nothing that says that you have to, unless you're under a deadline. But if it's for yourself or whatever, there's nothing that says
Yeah.
that you have to finish a piece in one sitting.
Yeah.
Dan and I have.
I'm
Dan has drawers of pieces. I have.
Oh my
I
god,
have
I literally
files
have
of
a flat
pieces
file full. That's a
of things
yeah,
of partially finished things that no one's ever seen.
yeah.
You know.
I'm gonna answer some of the questions that we're getting right now.
Oh yes.
Let's see here. Matt says, "Does doing the same characters over and over at cons ever drain your creativity?" I would say the only time I get a little drained is when I go to a con, and it's weird. Certain cities are like pro one character over like all other characters. It's really bizarre. Like you'll go to a city and you will get like 5 Thors at that show, and then you'll go to another series and everybody wants Deadpool. And it really is bizarre how you get stuff like that. For me, I luckily get a lot of people that are like, "Hey, can you draw me a dragon?" Or "Hey, I would love to have you draw Legolas or Treebeard or whatever," which is I find a lot more freeing than can you draw this, that, and the other comic book character. Mainly because you can only do so many poses of certain comic book characters before it's like, okay, I now have to look through my repertoire of what I've drawn and the poses I've done so that I don't duplicate a pose on accident just because I've drawn this character 3,000 times. I mean, don't get me started about Batman on in the
The
rain on a
gargoyle.
gargoyle. How many times can you make that crouch pose work?
Yeah,
But yeah, it's so I mean, it does get draining, but not terribly. I mean, I'm usually so fired up at a convention, and you're so like it's so fun being there and drawing with so many artists that you don't get to draw with regularly. Um, like you kind of feed off the energy that's you read the room, so to speak, and you kind of feed off of it. So I don't really think that it's stifling necessarily.
one of the things with watercolor that I enjoy is that you can't recreate the same strokes that you make will always be a little bit different. And with the amount of complexity that Dan and I
Yeah.
work on, like we can there will always be some amount of differences between pieces.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
but there are things that I try to like vary up if it's a very common, um, from pose to angle to the color choices. Hey, let's paint. Let's do Spider-Man and at dawn. Do Spider-Man in the shadows. You do similar poses
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But if it happens in the same show, sometimes what does get a little um, tiresome or challenging is when someone just like, oh, I want that
Yeah.
piece that you
They
just
see
did
what
for someone
they see what
else.
you just did and they want it, so then they ask for the exact thing that you just did. That's the one that bugs me is,
Yeah,
you know, have a tiny bit more imagination. I think I just drew that. You saw it, so then you're like, I know he can draw that.
yeah,
And I get that. I do. I mean, it's a known quantity then,
yeah.
but you know, think of
I've
something else. We're
legit. I've
not
had someone
we're
do it.
not photocopiers, unfortunately.
Exactly.
The other comment that I got is, do you ever be honest and turn down pieces you're not interested in? Oh yeah. Um,
Quick shout out to Jay
Tony can
Simon.
Tony can attest that I've done that multiple times. Um, Jay Simon says, "You're taking me away from work right now. Darn you."
You're welcome, and
um,
you're welcome, and you're welcome.
Ron says, "Dan, when are you publishing your next small sketch hardcover book?" Tony, when are you going to publish a hardcover art book? Haha, right? Um,
Dan
my
was just
next one
getting on my
is
case on
my
that.
next one is actually very, very far into the works, and I will probably have another one of these guys coming up at the end of the year, hopefully. Um, there should be a Kickstarter for my second volume.
I I,
Um,
I got distracted with a project,
graphic
um,
novel.
a project that I'm working on that will be announced soon. I had initially hoped to try to get an art book before the convention season, but that's not going to happen. But I
Uh,
have a lot of work coming out soon.
yeah, Matt.
And Dan's seen a sneak.
Yes. It is really, really, really cool looking. I can't wait until you start dropping it.
Yeah. Uh,
Matt says a lot of artists are also doing for a certain time every year they do commissions, then they rest and they don't. And yeah, I definitely take them in waves. I try, but that for me, it's more of a I don't want to get overwhelmed and overcommit to things. I've already got stuff that I've overcommitted to that I'm trying to not get to that point. Um, that aforementioned 3 project, you know, disaster that happened is definitely one of those things where I'm trying to get past that so that I don't have that happen again. Um, and that's a good policy to have, is to only take on a certain number at a time. Wait, finish that list, then move on and take on another certain number. If you do just keep taking on commissions, you'll basically just
you
like
never stop.
you'll never finish your list. You'll never finish it, and nothing is more daunting than having a list that's like a forever list. Um, it it doesn't feel good. You think it's a really cool thing to have, but then you start upsetting people when you do that. Ron, that film was fantastic and would make an excellent commission. I don't know which one he's talking about, but
I know we're out of sync on that.
I know. I
mean
mean
the
the
Dis-
Disney film. Flora and Ulysses. Yeah, no, that was actually really fun. Um, Amanda Hancock says, "I missed the first part of this episode, but wow, y'all are knocking it out of the park. Awesome work."
Thank you. Thank you.
Ron says, "With a superhero squirrel." Yes. So yeah.
Going back to around pieces that you're not interested in.
Yeah.
I think that's
I think it's
a
healthy.
lesson. It's healthy. I think it's a lesson that I think when you first start off, you take on. You start opening yourself up mission. You kind of want to take on. I've
I
learned to that I don't. I will severely limit any requests to do a personal portrait of
Yeah.
someone. And for me, uh, also, if anyone comes to me with animals, I just send them to Dan.
And I'm totally cool with animals.
Yeah. Like for some, like it just I can do them and I've done them and I'll pick and choose, but for some reason it doesn't necessarily bring me as much joy when I get lost, other pieces. So,
And most anime stuff I'm going to send to Tony.
yeah.
Um,
I get
not
a
that
lot
I'm
of
not
anime.
not that I'm not into anime. I've done a lot too, but Tony is I mean he's kind of the anime king. I mean
So-
he's got Miyazaki's palette, for crying out loud. So yeah, the I totally forgot what I was about to say. I was listening to you.
um, okay, Simon gives us a little smiley face.
Yeah. Uh, other things I guess that I try and do. Take a sketchbook everywhere. Don't like when you travel, especially when you're out of your comfort zones, are usually when you have some of the best ideas. Um, and it's always going to hit you when you least expect it. When you're like at a museum or something, or doing something that you just don't do on a regular basis. That's when you're going to run into some sort of an idea, or you'll see something that spurs a thought, and you'll immediately have an idea for a piece. It can even just be like looking at a color. I mean,
Very much.
I've had ideas from out of nowhere. So bring either like a tiny little idea book, like something that you can fit in your pocket, or a tiny little sketchbook that you can just quickly jot down an idea, like 2 minutes. Nothing that you have to spend time on, but just enough to give you the notion so that when you flip back through it later, you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
Forgetting ideas is the worst.
The idea that you have to, the concept that the thought process that you have to actually finish a piece of work, and every piece of work you do have to be
Yeah.
a masterpiece or have to be well thought out is a fallacy. Like you will do that through sheer force of will and number.
Yeah.
So there's so many ideas that are not going to work, and by exploring all those, you figure out what isn't going to work. So you'll find the one that eventually you're a step closer.
Yeah. I got to let this dry for a second. And while I do it, I'm going to talk about one other thing.
Yeah.
So this project started off, this was when I first moved down to Florida, I was getting into Instagram, and I was annoyed because Instagram hadn't enacted the 4:3 aspect ratio. They were just doing square pieces. Everything had to be square. They made entire apps specifically to format things for square. And it was so annoying because phones don't take square photos.
Yeah.
Your art is never a square piece. In fact, it was really hard to come by paper that was square. So what I ended up doing was making my own sketchbooks. I have a friend who's a bookbinder, and she made me 2 or 3 square sketchbooks out of giant watercolor sheets that I gave her, and then she bound it with a wooden cover on each side. And they're gorgeous books. I wish I meant to bring them today, but I didn't. But I'll bring them next time and show you what the actual originals look like. I started doing those as daily warm-ups, and the reason I wanted it this size was it was something small. They're 8x8. It's not big enough. This is a 9x12, just to give you an idea. 9x12, slightly bigger. Um, they're 8x8, and it was just, it's a personal piece I'm doing for somebody. They changed paper types. So I wanted the challenge of the paper to also be something that was different each time. So that way I wouldn't get kind of comfortable using the same paper. So some of the paper was like 300-pound arches. Others were tonal paper. So some pages are white, some pages are gray, some pages are tan, some pages are, it's all over the place. And it's funny because like looking back on it now, I can totally see which paper was which, just based upon how the textures are treated.
Mhm.
Like this was definitely on a 300-pound piece. And it was just things that I kind of wanted to do as I tried to do a drawing each day of something that was not what I would normally draw or was currently working on. It had to be something different than what I was currently doing. So there are no superheroes in here. There are no nothing in here that's proprietary in any way. It's all just stuff out of my head. I went through a whole bee series. Do you know there are different colored bees?
Yeah.
Like literally, there are blue bees. There are green bees, green Himalayan bees.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Did not know that.
we have green bees here too. You have red bumblebees. Like there are just so many different. Like nature is one of the things that I draw inspiration from. My dog that passed away. My other dog's paws.
Tell
It
us
was
about those
literally
rainbow
just.
squirrels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Did you know that there are rainbow squirrels?
Legit.
Seriously,
Yeah,
look it up.
I did not believe Dan when he said like,
Painted squirrels.
there's a rainbow, there's a squirrel that's every color of the rainbow. I was like,
Yeah,
whatever. It's like
yeah. You're like,
how is that a beneficial genetic mutation?
yeah, exactly. And they're also the size of large Maine Coon cats. They're not like normal squirrels. They're huge. Their tails are also like monkey tails in length. Yeah, look it up; it'll blow your mind.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
very
all
cool.
this
Worth it.
stuff, things like this. So this particular sketch, this was my son. We were at the fair, and we had those giant slides you see at the fair where they go on forever. Like you start and they give you like a blanket to sit on, and you
Oh, yeah,
basically
yeah, yeah.
slide down the side.
Mm-hmm.
So we went up to the top of it and slid down, and it was like a forever slide. We just kept going and going and going. He was like, "This is the greatest thing ever," and it took forever to get to the top. Um, and then he immediately turns around as soon as we got off, and this was his like. He turned around and started running up the slide, like trying to go back up the slide
No.
the wrong way. And I was like, "Oh no!" But at the same time, I was like, "I got to get a photo of that because it's like that's something that little glee thing is like
Uh-huh.
something only a little kid has." Um, and it was like I tried to capture that little like woohoo,
Do it
and
again.
it was like for me, it was like, oh yeah, it's like what if little kids could wear these little like flight suits in the future and they could literally fly.
Mhm.
It's like a protective suit. Um, this is a friend of mine that was a barista, and uh, she just like she always has this very very. I love the look that she typically has, and her hair goes through different phases and whatnot. But yeah, she just I don't know. It was like random that day. Same thing with this. Another super random. What if those turtles are really big? I'm a big sci-fi nut. Sci-fi. I hadn't done anything sci-fi in a while, so I imagine this spaceport, that was, you had alien visitors that were visiting. This was a Gustav Klimt deny pose, very famous one. And I just wanted to kind of do my own sort of interpretation of it. So
Love it.
this was the coffee shop I was drinking at that day.
She was at your coffee shop?
Yes, this was the old lady who literally had, she passed away.
Oh.
But she literally had, she didn't pass away before this was done.
I was looking at the page before while
She-
hearing your audio.
She had the energy of 1,000 suns, though, and I could not figure out for the life of me how someone that old could be that full of exuberance. Like, I mean, it was insane. And I was like, wow, whatever crack she is on, I need, because that's crazy. No one has that kind of energy except for like small children and puppies. But yeah, it was a legend. Marguerite. And she would come into the coffee shop every morning and have coffee, and she would always come and see what I'm drawing, and she'd be like, "You shouldn't draw naked ladies." I'm like, well, I like drawing naked ladies. I don't know what to tell you.
Like,
So yeah,
so this is your way to get away from
my kid.
the mundane things that you get, the mundane sci-fi, the mundane superheroes that you have to draw every day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's literally whatever comes to mind. This is. I was reading an article about pangolins and how they were the most endangered creature on the planet, or literally the most trafficked animal in the world. And how literally there's some of the most creative, awesome creatures. They're sort of like dragons, and armadillos had a love child.
Yeah, no, they're very cool looking, very kind and sweet.
I wanted to do something that was like a mystic elephant. Yeah. Used all these African motifs on his patterns and whatnot. Island fish. I was looking at koi fish at a pond and noticed that there was like this little tiny colony on it. This koi was swimming, but its ridge was like sticking out of the water, and there was like this little colony of like creatures that were on its back. Like they just kept like going wherever he went and gathering up stuff as they went.
So
And I was like, oh my god.
Getting back to like the inspiration and
Yeah.
full of creativity. When you saw this koi fish, did you have a sketchbook?
Yeah.
Did you just take a photo?
So
you
when I saw the
plan on
koi
it?
fish, the first thing I did was take a pic of what was happening. I don't know if I have it still, but I just took a quick photo. My phone is like stupid full of photos. I take photos all the time, and it's always random crap. I have lots of like insect photos, so expect a couple of insect pieces in here. I live in Florida. We have big insects. So yeah, I don't know. It was.
You'd start sketching it that day or the next morning, or like when? Like
Sometimes it's in real time. Like if I'm at somewhere and I have time and I have my sketchbook handy, then yeah, I'll just do it right there. Other times I'll do it the following day. So whatever the inspiration was, I try and capture that again the following day. If I try not to wait too long, sometimes I have to dig into the well, so to speak, which is my notebook of ideas, my little black notebook. But yeah, it happens ever so often though.
Yeah, for like as far as like sketchbooks and getting those ideas and like, challenging yourself.
Say that again.
In terms of having a sketchbook for things that aren't things that you do on a daily basis that either for clients or positions that we type to do. I have my version of that. I actually have it somewhat phone available is I actually have a architecture sketchbook.
You actually have a what?
An architecture sketchbook,
Ah,
or like architecture and landscape, I should say. Um, and like I found that this is a way for me to actually just like focus, like play around with colors in a very organized way. Um,
ah,
so they're not things I would typically. I don't really think I posted many of these up. Um, but there's also things I don't get to like draw on a constant basis or get paid to draw, right?
gotcha.
So so I have some playing around with shadows and light, trying to make if you can make a bunch of rectangles look interesting. I think that's a good fun challenge.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny. Stefan, our buddy, look at that, a name drop, Matt. Um, uh, Stefan, our pal, when I first met him, that was the stuff that like the very first thing I ever saw him do. I actually didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
Um, like I didn't know of his art. I didn't know. I knew he was like a big shot comic guy, but I didn't really know what he did.
Mhm.
And a mutual friend of ours was like, "Oh, there's Stefan. Let me introduce you guys." And went over, said hi, um, and I was like, "Oh, can I look at your sketchbook?" Because he saw us sketching,
Mhm.
and I wanted to see his. And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure. It's just stuff from my travels." And it was all these like amazing pieces from like France and
Yeah.
you know downtown Paris and like I mean, and they were all these like they were so perfect, and it was just dumb. I mean, I was dumbfounded.
Seeing, so I've gotten a chance to like actually paint with him and do like
Yeah,
landscape and
no, he's
cityscapes
really
and stuff
good.
like that. And like, wow, he can capture stuff.
Yeah,
He's so
his
stupidly humble about
yeah, it's like really
it.
painful to hear him
To hear him
like
just
talk
like,
how amazing everyone else is, and it's like,
yeah,
dude,
you he does that so well, and it just makes you feel like, oh, I
yeah,
love Tony, what you did here, this and this. Like like, you
it's like,
seriously
why are
see
you
what
building
you
me up
did.
like this, man? You're making me cry. Yeah, yeah. Stefan is really good people. He's one of my absolute favorites. Um,
He is.
I'm still hoping that him and his family can come down, and we can do that island thing that we. By the way, we might be going to the island again this weekend, and
Oh,
it
nice,
is so fun, man.
nice.
So much fun. Um,
Or if quick shout out for Stefan, if you want to follow him, he is French Woodworker
yeah,
on Instagram.
Stefan Roux.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
ROUX.
definitely follow Stefan if you want to be super inspired. Um, that guy knows no bounds. He is also one of those like super savant, like master of various art trades. Like he is currently building like a life size Hulk.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding at all.
he's a,
Um,
his
he
fabrication,
makes yeah,
right? Like he's built like Hellboy and Hulk, Iron Man's,
yep.
and all these things. And then I've been lucky enough to actually watch him, listen to him play the clarinet. And he's just talented all around the board.
Does he do smooth jazz?
we, 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 we,
Wah,
we,
wah, wah.
we played that Captain America song at the end when he's dancing with.
I don't know that.
No, okay, it's an old French kind of like 1940s.
Oh, you're talking about the what the his exit, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
from
Da
MCU,
da
yeah,
da 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 da.
yeah, I know that one.
Yep, yep,
Until we
yep. That one
meet
exactly. You
again.
got it.
Yeah.
Your architecture pieces are my favorites. Thank you, Matt. Any plans for an aviatrix here? I have to look that up. But I know
How are we doing on time, Tony?
We are just about. We started about 10:45 here. It is now 12. Just about 90. a little bit more to go on. Are there any questions before we're going to be wrapping up?
Yeah.
We will be doing.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, this is the time to start dropping them.
And we also have to.
Got about 10 minutes left.
Get the poll
Ideas for next stream.
Ideas for the next.
Yeah.
So if you have ideas, feel free to spit them out.
The other thing about creativity and I guess keeping creativity flowing is it's hard when you get into like a real rut and you've been doing the same thing over and over. It's really tough to get out of that. Like change your scenery, change where you're at, change everything about your current situation. A lot of times that is the best thing to jog you out of whatever that rut is. For digital artists, that's a little tough because a lot of times you're tied to your computer. But
one of the reasons why watercolor is better than all the other ones.
Yeah,
it's so portable.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about like canvases and mediums.
Yeah, we can attest to this. We literally painted in scorching weather.
Yeah.
Tony got eaten alive by every bug ever.
Oh my god, I just picked the wrong times to visit Florida.
Like seriously, you keep rolling ones every time. Like I mean, this was like the comedy of errors. I've never seen anything quite like it. It's like, hey Tony, your flights got canceled. How many times? Like,
Okay, so heading down. First, we've been planning for me to head down to Florida for a good couple months. We've been talking about it, and through various things, just couldn't get it figured out until finally pulled the trigger for 2 weeks ago. And I was gonna fly out there like the Tuesday night, and that flight gets canceled. I'm like, oh. So it gets canceled for the next morning. So I get there in the morning, and I go there. I'm ready at the gate, and about 40 minutes before the gate open, it's canceled. Again. like not like delayed. It's canceled.
Canceled. They're just like, it's out. Granted, there is a hurricane, literally.
Yes. So
that's when he decides to come, is during an actual
Mother Nature
hurricane.
really didn't want me to head down Florida. And so it was delayed for
Mother
almost
Nature
another...
said, no.
Almost for another 18 hours. But luckily I was able to get on a standby and get down there, only to have my luggage now lost in the limbo of the friendly sky. So don't know when that's going to happen. I lost my luggage for a day. They eventually found it. We try to go out and do some painting and plein air painting, kind of change it up a little bit, and just mosquitoes. I still have like a mosquito bite in the middle of my chest. I was like, why do
I'm not laughing. You're laughing.
It's in the middle of my chest. I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Like a third nipple.
It's like, I'm not just gonna suck your blood. I'm gonna suck your heart out.
Yeah, suck your heart out, and I'm gonna give you another like third nipple. Like I now know what that's like.
I can't make this up.
And then even leaving Florida, my flight was delayed and everything else. I'm like,
man. That kind of worked out though, in a way.
Yeah, that did. We had a good dinner at.
Yeah.
Dan and I got to paint some sunsets on the beach. It was.
Yeah, we got razzed about that a lot.
Yeah, I did. I honestly, like, when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, that's cool. I like the ramifications of actually saying that.
I know.
Me. I was just like, oh, it's a cool thing. Like, we're doing some painting on the beach.
Yep.
Painting sunsets.
Hey, Grandma really appreciated it. She was like, oh, that's so cool.
Aww.
And I was like, oh, yeah, we did it for you.
Yeah. But yes, that was good escape and having.
Yeah, we got to spend a lot of time with Finn. Got to spend a lot of time with Uncle Tony.
Yeah. I got to. He was astonished by my paper crane origami.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, the origami thing that made his universe.
He was like, "What? That was a piece of paper."
It's like, what is this? What's happening? I don't
Oh,
understand.
we got a new one from Ron Shepard. Says, "I would like to see you both do some old film noir pieces. Maltese
Oh,
Falcon, Big
oh, that
Sleep.
is cool.
I could dig that. We'll put film noir as one.
Dude, I'm just excited about Moana. I get to do a Moana piece.
Why do you get to do a Moana piece? What's going on?
Do what?
How are you doing a Moana piece? I don't know what that is.
I'm doing a Moana piece for Ron coming up.
Oh, Maui.
Yeah.
I think he just bought my. Ron, you got my Moana piece, right? Um,
I was explaining how my son's second birthday party was Moana themed.
uh,
It was the most epic birthday party.
We like to call
oh yeah.
I'm sorry, it was a Maui party, really. But it was the most epic
Well, you're
birthday
welcome.
party I have ever put together in my entire life. Um,
What
we
was the
put
most?
together.
What was the
It
most
was.
epic thing? What in your mind? What was like?
Are you kidding? We made
I
Kakamora.
know. I saw it. I saw the
Like we
pictures.
made three Kakamora pinatas. We made Grandma made an entire boat, like the actual boat that Moana sailed in. Like I'm not joking. It was like phenomenal that the kids could do photo sessions on. Um, Heather made a cake that had every single creature that Maui turned into
Oh my
on top
god.
of it, made out of like fondant, like every single creature,
Oh my
and they looked exactly like them. The cupcakes were little waves, or no, they were hibiscus flowers. Um, I did. I husked 40 coconuts over 3 days.
You can't see how
Husking
much I'm
coconuts
shaking my
is
head
really
right
hard.
now.
Like, and then the kids all got to make their own kakamora, like paint the little guys. We had instead of pin the tail on the donkey, we had oh my gosh, what was it?
No, we didn't. That was for the dinosaur one.
Well, instead of that, what we did is you could make your own. You could decorate Tamatoa, the big crab.
Oh
So
yeah.
you could basically bling him out. So all the kids were gluing like all sorts of gold and glitter bling all over him. Uh, we had yeah, it was ridiculous, man. The thing that you hit the kakamoras with was Maui's paddle.
Tell me you're an
Um,
overachiever without telling me you're an
and it had
overachiever.
like a little like heart with a
Small on its paddle. Had the
it's
hook
a little
on it.
hook. It had a little hook with a heart on it, which was
Pretty cool.
Maui's signature. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, and I made Maui's giant fish hook. That's right.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Oh
We
nice.
still have that.
Yeah. It was easily. It was all out. I mean, there's no way we could ever top that birthday party. Like
Ah, no, the art theme one.
the Maui one was.
The art theme one.
Like no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna top it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not happening, but that one was it broke me in a lot of ways. Finn had I even made a shirt for Finn. So Finn had crazy curly hair at the time.
Uh-huh.
We even made a shirt that was like flesh tone that had all the Maui tattoos all over it,
Oh
so he could
god.
wear it, and he walked around with a giant fish hook. Like,
He was 2 years old.
yeah, like literally. It was the worst time to do that for him. Like it should have been when he was older because like
Yeah.
he's not gonna remember any of that. And
I
like
was about to say like that.
yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely one of those like, yeah, in hindsight, maybe we should have done it different. Like the one before that was dinosaurs, and it was like maybe we should have done like something a little less, just a little less. Because he's definitely not going to remember all this. But yeah, all the parents were like, dude. Some parents were borrowing our stuff, like for their parties. But it was a lot of fun. Any questions?
Any questions?
Before
Really
we,
looking forward to seeing Daniel's Moana piece. Raya piece after that. Ooh,
yeah,
Raya.
I'm super looking forward to it actually.
Raya is so good.
Maltese Falcon.
Little film noir detective. Ron
Any
says in color.
last? I'm sorry.
Ron said do the film noir in color. It kind of defeats the purpose.
Oh, that's tough. Any what is next week's theme? That's a really good question, Tony. What is next week's theme?
So our process has been like a few days before we
Yeah.
actually stream. We'll have a conversation about 15 to 20 minutes about what the topic could be, and then we'll talk about the topic real quickly. But we'll cut ourselves short and be like, okay, that's enough. We're not talking about it anymore. Otherwise, it won't be
Yeah,
fresh.
a lot of times we've been like we really went into this on Instagram.
Yeah. We
On
went a
Wednesday.
little bit into this on Wednesday.
Yeah,
But
a little too much in my opinion. We need to crank that back just a little bit. The neighbors are still hating you.
If there's a topic that you want us to cover or to talk about more,
is there something in particular? Let us know.
Let us know. Definitely, as conventions start coming up, we'll have a few streams dedicated. I'll definitely post some stuff about my.
And we can also talk about process and tools and stuff like that. I mean, we didn't want to do those for our first episodes just because those are typically the ones that, I mean, we get those questions all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what tools do you use? What paint? What paper? And wow, I didn't mean to say it quite like that because that sounded really condescending and lame. But we do get those questions almost on a daily basis. So we'll definitely have some episodes dealing with tools. You know, a lot of the crap that I have, brushes,
We have a whole list.
palettes. You know, what sort of water bucket do I use? How are we streaming? How are we doing the video stuff? You know, maybe even some of those questions. Like, also things like social media. Those are other topics that we definitely want to cover and discuss. Like, you know, things that will come up in conversation that we definitely want to kind of illustrate here.
And Matt Holloway says, "Are you both going to do Instagram and YouTube?" And yes, we're going to both.
Yes.
You doing our Instagram, which is a little bit more informal. YouTube will be a little bit more formal. And it will still continue to do Twitch.
I don't like archiving the Instagram stuff personally, just because I like how informal it is, and Instagram has a bunch of recent policies that they've enacted for business accounts. So I'm trying not to actually put a bunch of those up, and keeping YouTube as sort of like the archive point for a lot of these episodes. They're more formal, they're more structured, and they also tend to be roughly the same length, as opposed to Instagram, where sometimes we paint for hours and hours. So, are you at a stopping point?
Yeah, I am. I think this is
okay.
Pretty happy with where this is going.
I'm happy where I'm at. I definitely have more to do on this guy. This is really just me messing around with the paper, but I like See if I can get in on his face.
Well,
I'm liking parts of it. I kind of want to play around more with some of the the lighter tones to see what kind of gouache I can mess around with here.
yeah. So everyone, if you have any ideas on what you want us to topics that you want us to paint or draw for next time, please leave that in the comments down below. And also, just leaving comments down below will totally help us out. So after this
Indeed.
finishes, or even right now, feel free to leave a comment down there. So, and like, comment, and subscribe to a fun little channel here. Totally. So if you want to follow Dan and you're not, please follow Dan at, where do they follow you?
Instagram.com, Daniel Govar on Instagram, or if you want to just check out my website and go to all my social stuff, it's just danielgovar.com.
And if you want to follow me and you're not following me yet, it's on Instagram. It's Tony_Moy. Same thing for Twitch, Tony_Moy. And if you want to go to my website, tonymoy.art, and you'll see all the rest of my stuff from TikTok.
And if you want to pick up art books online, things like that, we do have a lot of those things on different
our website.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Check our website. That's the main nexus
Yeah, it's probably the
for
best.
everything else.
Indeed. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to next. Hey, what should we paint next time for our warm up? Any three what 4 ideas do we want to do? Tolkien lost out, so I feel like Tolkien should get tossed into the mix.
You want to toss that in again? Okay. We'll
Well,
toss
it was
Tolkien.
I looked at the results and it was like one.
It was close.
vote.
It was second.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
We have film noir,
Okay.
Tolkien, and we'll leave the 2 other choices for any comments that people have.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, everybody. Why don't we leave up your Loki.
Oh, my Loki.
Head out.
Loki. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Or palette.
It's getting there. Not there yet, but getting there.
There you go. I'm thinking that more like I didn't get a chance to work on any like just color.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. So on that note, thank you, everyone.
Oh, see ya.
Bye.